This week's Torah portion is the portion of Miketz. And the Torah begins, Vehi Miketz Shasayim Yamim. It was at the end of time, at the end of the 2-year period. And Pharaoh had a dream. And it goes on to explain the great dream of Pharaoh and how Yosef became the interpreter of the dream. So, just to understand a little bit about dreams and the nature of dreams. So the Zohar of this week's portion starts off like this. Vehi Miketz Shasayim Shana. The Zohar says like this, that when, in the previous portion, when there's the butler, the Sarah and the Sarah Mashkin, when the two butlers were in prison, Yosef interprets their dreams and tells these ministers that when you come out and you're finally freed, you should remember me in front of Pharaoh. Remind Pharaoh that there's this great sage sitting in prison and maybe he'll let me out. And that's how the portion actually concludes. Last week's portion says, that the Sarah Mashkin, this butler, did not remember Yosef and he forgot him. And then the portion continues that Pharaoh had a dream. So the Zohar says like this, that when these people in prison had a dream, Yosef thought, Yosef saw this dream. He said, certainly this is a dream of remembrance. However, the Torah says, Zohar that the Sar HaMashkin did not remember and he forgot. So the Zohar says, what does it mean he did not remember and he forgot? If he did not remember, he forgot. Why the redundancy? So the Zohar says there are dreams of forgetfulness and there is dreams of remembrance. That distinction between these two dreams is that there is dreams of Kiddusha, of holy, and there's dreams of the unholy. The difference between holy and the unholy is that holy represents memory, because everything is present in the holy, and the opposite of the holy, or klipa, concealment, represents where there's a separation between the past, present, and the future. When there's a separation of time, that's a concealment of time. And that creates separation, which causes forgetfulness. We forget things because the thing that we forget is no longer present in our life. Let's say you have something that's a very traumatic experience in your life. You remember it for a longer period of time because that experience, even though it happened 10 years ago, is still present to you. If you have a non-eventful experience, you forget it 10 minutes later because there's a separation between that and your present moment. So the Zohar says there is a concept of Kiddusha, of holy, which represents full memory, when memory is constant, and that's something that's holy because everything is being experienced in the present, and there's the concept of forgetfulness. So the Sar HaMashkin, the butler, did not remember the dream, and he forgot because that was a place of forgetfulness. And what the Zohar basically goes on to explain is like this, that Yosef was trapped in prison, and he wanted to get out of prison, of course. So he asked the Sar HaMashkin, this butler, please, when you come out, remember that I interpret your dream for the positive, and remember me to Pharaoh, and he'll get me out of prison. The Zohar says that was negative. That was not something that Yosef should have done. He should have had trust that it would have worked out, that he would have got out of prison. So the question is, he did have trust. He trusted that this will be his messenger. He had a Sar HaMashkin, and had this person that was leaving prison. He interpreted the dream for this person. So he would go in front of Pharaoh and tell him that there was this great visionary interpreter of dreams sitting in prison, and that would get him out. So he did have trust. He trusted this man. So why does the Zohar see this as something that's negative, that he trusted the Sar HaMashkin, that he trusted this person to tell Pharaoh to get him out of prison? So the idea is like this, that there are two levels of trust, which incidentally is also related to the entire idea of Kislev, the month of Kislev, which Kislev, the word Kislev, is Vayasimu Hashem Kislam. The word Kislev means trust. It's a month about trusting, about bitachon, of having trust. There are two levels of trust. One level of trust is, I trust and I do, or I do and I trust. Let's say a person has to make a living. So a person goes out, goes to a job, works a few hours, and while they're trying to make a living, they're trusting Hashem, saying that I trust this is what my purpose is, this is what I have to be doing, and I trust this is how I'll make an income. let's say a person's looking for a shidduch, is looking to marry somebody. I go out with somebody, and I trust that this will be the person, and therefore I hope that this will be the person that I will marry. So I do something of a physical action, which is called hishtadlus. I'm doing something, and while simultaneously what I'm doing, I'm having trust. This is the normal scenario of when we talk about trust. This is the regular paradigm of trust, which is healthy trust. Like the famous story with the person that's drowning and saying, God, please save me, and a boat comes and says, no, I'm waiting for God, and someone else comes and says, I'm waiting for God, and then he drowns. So the tale is trying to tell us is that no, you have to do something, and that's the messenger. So you send someone. Yosef is told, we're told, should have not trusted the messenger and tell him to please remember him in front of Pharaoh. Why not? Because then there's a higher level of trust. One level of trust is you do and you trust. Another level of trust is you stop doing. You just allow things to happen to you. This is the level that Yosef reached in his life. Yosef knew, and this is what he should have known, that in his life he never made choices. In fact, things happened to him constantly. He was sold into slavery. It wasn't a choice that he made. He was given to Potiphar. It wasn't a choice that he made. Things were working out in his life that's beyond his choice. He had to have that level of trust, in a way, such trust that things will work out and you don't have to do anything about it. Now the question is that the level that we're supposed to live at? And the answer is not really. We're supposed to live in the place of trust where we do and we trust. But sometimes in our life, there is a great unfolding of a dream. And when we sense the great unfolding of our life, unfolding in the way that's perfect for ourselves, and we see how things are working out, at those moments we have to say, you know what? Let it just flow through me. I'm not going to do anything proactively. If something presents itself, I will take that opportunity, but I'm not going to try to make those things presenting ourselves. And these are two levels of trust that we have. The one level of trust, in simple language, the one level of trust is I seek opportunities in my life, and then I trust those are the right opportunities, and I trust Hashem while I'm doing those opportunities. The other one is I wait for opportunities to be presented to me. The second level that we talk about is the level of Yosef, that Yosef reached. So even though we don't reach this all times, and all people don't reach this at every moment, there are times in our life that we know that the light is just flowing through us, that purpose and meaning is flowing through us, that we don't have to do anything now. Most times we have to proactively present opportunities and look for opportunities, but sometimes when it's so clear to us that everything is just coming to us, we just have to say, okay, I'm ready to receive whatever is in store for me. And that's the highest level of trust. And sometimes in our life we have to be open to that type of experience and not try to ask and try to present new opportunities.